Hello hunters and welcome back. Much like Santa Claus bringing us gifts, GOG has bestowed upon us Gogma-Artian Weapons. These weapons are overhauling the meta and have cemented themselves as the best weapons, stat-wise, in the game. But the systems behind them have some complexity. Let's refresh our knowledge about the Artian weapons and explore the new Gogma-Artian level and how we can take advantage of these systems for our benefit. A lot of what I initially cover will have been covered in my prior Artian weapon video. Feel free to check that out if you like, but this will be the new complete guide to all things Artian. If you are comfortable with the Artian systems prior to Title Update 4 and just want to get the breakdown of the new Gogma-Artian stuff, please use the chapters listed in the description. Disclaimer. I am a Lance main, and I will be doing most of my explanations using the Lance Artians. Some weapons differ slightly in ways I know, and I'm sure they also differ in ways I am not fully aware, so please take this as a general guide and tailor it to your needs. Also, while the concept of meta will come up throughout the video, I implore you to only engage with the systems we discuss so long as you are enjoying it. I personally would rather settle for good enough than get burnt out chasing perfection. If you want the absolute best of the best God-rolled weapon, more power to you. But if you were finding the grind unbearable, remember that the game is supposed to be fun and can be beaten without perfect gear. Try not to get hung up on it. Let's kick things off with a refresher course on Artian weapons. Disregarding the lower rarity options, Rarity 8 Artian weapons are made using 3 old weapon fragments, earned primarily by fighting and beating 8-star monster investigations where ancient weapon fragments are the bulk of the bonus reward. Some changes to the system post 9-star monsters and the RNG Talisman update have made getting these pieces all the easier. Quests like this one are not super hard to come by with 20 rewards for 2 monsters. Gogmazios specifically can have 3 ancient weapon fragments per box, so if you are comfortable fighting Gore, he gives the most rewards. Once you have any 3 pieces that apply to your weapon type specifically, in my case 1 blade and 2 discs, you can craft an Artian weapon. The pieces you select have 2 important factors on them, the element type, which also includes status, and the Artian bonus. Element type will determine if your weapon has an element or status, and if so, how much. So long as 2 of the 3 pieces share the same element, it will be expressed. Conversely, if all of the pieces are different elements, the weapon will not have an element, defaulting to raw. In Wilds, Artian weapons that are raw damage only do not have more attack than an elemental infused Artian. So, more likely than not, it would behoove you to forge an Artian with an element expressed, with all 3 pieces of the Artian sharing the same element. The Artian bonus gives additional attack or affinity to the final weapon, with attack infusion adding 5 true raw per piece and affinity adding 5% affinity per piece. Typically, the meta option is picking 3 pieces that share an element, all with the attack infusion, but take care to check your specific weapon as some have additional considerations. For example, the element types you select for a switch axe or charge blade will switch the Phial type. The bowguns will gain new ammo types accessible depending on what you select. Bow will change what coatings are available. The power and shelling type will change with gun lance. And the hunting horn, song list, and echo bubble will differ. To further complicate things, some of this will also be modifiable once the weapon upgrades to Gogma-Artian, so my recommendation is playing around with the upgrades and then leaving the game without saving. We will discuss save scumming more in length in a little bit. Once you have selected and forged your Artian weapon, the only step further that we had prior to Title Update 4 was reinforcement. By spending 15,000 points worth of ore material, you can imbue your weapon with 5 reinforcement bonuses. These are permanent boosts to the stats on the weapon affecting a number of areas. The available bonuses are plus 5% affinity, plus 5 true raw attack, plus 30 sharpness, a variable amount of elemental attack dependent on weapon type, and specifically for bowguns, capacity, which gives an extra round for certain ammo types. If you crafted a weapon that does not have an element or status, then the elemental bonus will never present itself, and weapons that don't have sharpness bars will be unable to roll the sharpness bonus. The bonuses you rolled are fixed to this weapon, and before Title Update 4, if you wanted different bonuses, you had to craft a completely new Artian weapon. You can dismantle this weapon and your reward would be 100% of the ore used to reinforce it, plus a smaller ore as compensation for melting down the Artian pieces, which themselves are not refunded. Introduced in Title Update 4 is the Gogma-Artian system, where you can now upgrade your Rarity 8 Artian weapon further. Through the use of tarred devices earned from breaking nodes off of Gogmazios and otherwise completing his mission, you can give your weapon a focus, either attack, affinity, or element, with positives and negatives for each. The weapon will also gain one set skill point and one group skill point, essentially making your weapon count towards these skill thresholds in the same way as your armor. Lastly, you have the ability to doubly reinforce your weapon, allowing for the bonuses to give even more points towards their respective stat increases. Let's dive into each of these 3 additions individually. Starting with the focus, we have 3 options: attack, affinity, and element. The attack focus will boost your true raw attack 10 points at the cost of a decrease of 15% affinity. Affinity will have your attack lowered by 10 true raw, raise your affinity 10%, and lower your element damage by a variable amount dependent on weapon type. Elemental will drop your affinity 5% and increase your element by a variable amount, again dependent upon weapon type. It should also be noted that the sharpness gauge for your weapon will differ from the previous Rarity 8 Artian no matter the choice, with element and attack matching each other. As far as I know, the attack focus is the current meta for most weapons, but again, some weapons have more considerations. Take the switch axe, for example. If your weapon was full fire when forged, you were forced into an element phial. The Gogma-Artian upgrade can switch this to a power phial if the attack focus is selected. Vice versa, a paralysis Artian with a power phial, if focused into affinity or element, will switch to an element phial. Similar changes can be seen in weapons like Gun Lance with Shelling type and Hunting Horn with Echo Bubbles, to name a few. Pay attention to how your weapon changes when upgrading to a Gogma-Artian, as this is one of the only things that cannot be rerolled once selected. Moving on to reinforcements, if you did not reinforce your weapon prior to upgrading to Gogma, you can do so now. The reinforcements will be identical to what it would have been if reinforced prior to the upgrade, and the cost is the same as well. Once the initial reinforcements are on the weapon, Gogma-Artians can undergo Gogma reinforcing in one of 2 ways. Method 1 is Amend Keep bonus, which means that for the price of 6,000 points or 20 Oricalcite, the reinforcements you have will be maintained, but their level of effect may change. For example, Attack Boost may become Attack Boost 2, giving 1 extra point in true raw from 5 to 6. It could also be increased to Attack Boost 3, giving 9 total raw, or the most coveted level, Attack Boost EX, for 12 true raw. Affinity follows a similar pattern of 6% for level 2, 8% for level 3, and 10% for Affinity Boost EX. Elemental varies by weapon, but Elemental EX will give between 80 and 110 depending, with the exception of dual blades where one EX will only give 50 points. Elemental does not have a level 3, and capacity and sharpness are also either default or EX with no other tiers in the middle. Method 2 is Amend Reset bonuses, where if selected, you will reroll all of the reinforcement bonuses on your weapon for new ones. This will provide 5 new bonuses, which can also automatically roll higher than the default, providing level 2, 3, and EX reinforcement. When rerolling through either method, the changes can be discarded and you can keep the previous reinforcement bonuses. However, the ore or material used to pay for the reroll is consumed regardless of whether you accepted the changes or not. A very important note about the reinforcement bonuses: as EX gives the biggest boost to stats, they are the most desirable. However, a weapon can only have 2 EX bonuses of the same bonus at a time. So, for example, previous Artian meta was something like 1 sharpness and 4 attack boosts. If this weapon was upgraded to Gogma and then rerolled for higher level bonuses, the highest it could ever achieve is 1 sharpness EX, 2 attack boost EX, and 2 attack boost 3. This means that if you have a weapon that has, say, 1 sharpness, 2 attack, 2 affinity, all 5 of them could be upgraded to EX, as no more than 2 of the same bonus are on the weapon. Next, if we switch tabs at the top to reset skills, we have the final Gogma-Artian mechanic to consider: This tab allows us to reroll both the group skill and set skill simultaneously by paying with tarred devices, the same items used to upgrade Artians to Gogma level. If you use pieces that match the focus of the weapon you are rerolling, they have double the value and therefore the cost of rerolling is halved. The skill and group bonus can be any of the existing set or group skills with the exceptions of Festival Spirit, Master of the Fist, and the Prayer skills. You will always get one group skill and one set skill, so rerolling something like Gogma-Apocalypse and Gormagala's Tyranny on one weapon is not possible. There you have it, the Gogma-Artian Weapon system explained. Now comes the challenging part. Understanding all of this is fairly straightforward, but how do we use it to our advantage to get Gogma-Artian weapons we want, with the skills we want, with the bonuses we want, and not break the bank? This part gets a little complex and convoluted, so I recommend following along with your own weapons to better grasp what we are doing and why. To start, Artian weapons are still generated on a table, meaning that the reinforcement bonuses that you initially apply are set in stone. You can try this yourself. Save your game, then create an Artian weapon and reinforce it. Quit to the title screen without saving, and once you load back in, make the exact same weapon again. You will see the bonuses are exactly the same. This means if we made 10 weapons and took note of all the bonuses they received, quit the game without saving, and did it again, all 10 would be 100% identical to the bonuses they received the first time around. There is a caveat here. Remember when I said non-elemental weapons can't roll the elemental bonus? Raw weapons exist on a separate table. Making 10 of those would give you 10 new reinforcement bonus groups, unique from the ones we saw on the elemental side. This is true for most weapon types, but some, like the switch axe, have only one table, as no matter how you combine your Artian pieces, you will always have an expressed element or status, and the bowguns also only have one table each, as elemental and status pieces affect the ammo pools and not the weapon directly. The concept of tables is important, as we can use it to our advantage when crafting Artian weapons initially, and it plays a role in Gogma-Artian weapons as well. When you craft an Artian weapon, this advances the table for all of the possible weapons of the same type and rarity. Again, you can test this, assuming you're not making a switch axe or one of the bowguns. Start your game, make an elemental Artian, then make a raw Artian, and reinforce them both. Quit without saving, reload, and craft them in reverse order, and they will have different bonuses because the act of crafting an Artian weapon advances the table. When you craft the elemental first, it is pulling the bonuses from position 1 on the elemental table, and then crafting the raw pulls its bonuses from position 2 on the raw table, skipping its position 1 as making the elemental move the whole table up by 1. So let's keep that concept in mind. Now you have a weapon with bonuses you like and you Gogmify it. When you do this, the weapon will immediately get a set bonus and group bonus skill. This is fixed and will not change depending on what focus you pick. This is part of a table too, however, but rather than it only being affected by other weapons of the same type and rarity, this table is connected to literally every other Gogma-Artian weapon. This means if you forge an Artian weapon, then convert it to Gogma, it will pull from position 1 on its skill table. If you quit and reload without saving, forge the same weapon, re-roll the skill on a completely different weapon type, then come back to Gogmify your new Artian, it will now pull from position 2 on its skill table. I know this sounds confusing, but bear with me. This connected table applies to the reinforcement bonuses too, and it is this system that we can exploit for our benefit. Every weapon has an individual table for its reinforcement bonuses and weapon type/element specific tables for skills. They are all connected to every other Gogma-Artian weapon's skills and bonus tables, but the skill tables are independent from the bonus tables. What I mean is, if you amend the reinforcement bonuses on a Gogma weapon, regardless of whether you use the keep or reset method, it will advance every weapon's reinforcement bonus table by 1. But the skill tables will not move. Intuitively, this makes sense, but it's important to point it out anyway. Let's put all this together and use it to make a good Gogma-Artian weapon. This will involve making more than one Artian, so I will name them the Chase Artian and the Junk Artian for ease of understanding. You can also have multiple Chase Artians at a time, and you should have 1 or 2 Junk Artians, each with a focus that is not the same as the focus you want on your Chase Gogma. This will make sense shortly. Step 1. Make the Junk Artians, reinforce them, and upgrade them to Gogma. Be sure to focus them using pieces that you are not going to use on your chase weapon. Remember, because all the Artian tables at the Gogma level are connected regardless of weapon type, the junk weapons do not have to be the same weapon type as the chase weapon. This is doubly important as a Gogma-Artian weapon does share its table with any other Gogma-Artian of the same weapon type and element. Be sure that the junk Gogma-Artians you make do not match the weapon type and element of the chase weapon. Step 2. Save your game. From here on out, we will be exploring the table to map out potential rolls, and we want to conserve as many materials as possible, so any resetting that occurs must be done without saving. Make your first chase Artian using exactly the Artian pieces you want. Once made, reinforce it. Take note of the reinforcement bonuses. This is now position 1 on your base Artian table. Step 3 can be done one of two ways depending on your resources. Option A, if you don't like the reinforcement bonuses on your chase weapon, dismantle it and make a new chase weapon, following step 2 again, post-saving. Keep track of every reinforcement you get and keep going until you get your preferred bonuses. This option is best if you have numerous Artian pieces, as each dismantle will destroy the 3 pieces you used. Be sure each new Artian is part of the same table, so no switching between element and raw. Option B, Gogmify your chase weapon. Once upgraded, you can now reroll the reinforcements using the Amend Reset bonus option. This method does not require you to keep track of your bonuses, as if it rerolls the bonuses the way you desire, you can then save your game. This method is better if you have numerous Oricalcite or other reroll materials, as it arguably costs less to reroll than making a new Artian. But you will lose the 20 Oricalcite every time you reroll. Your chase Artian may reinforce perfectly in 15 Gogma rerolls, or you may find your perfect base chase Artian after your 10th weapon. There's no exact science to this, so mapping and recording the results is the method I found works best for me. Step 3 is where you will probably spend a bulk of your time. It's up to you to determine which method to stick with and what is more cost-effective to you. But which method is superior? My gut says it's better to start with a perfect base Artian than it is to try to reroll for it. But again, that is dependent on what your material stockpile and Zenny pouch look like. However, once you have your weapon the way you want it, step 4 is to save your game. This makes the Gogma-Artian with the desired Artian pieces, focus, and reinforcements. We still have 2 things to reroll: the level of the Gogma bonus and the skills on the weapon. Step 5 will now involve either rerolling using the Amend Keep Bonuses option in an attempt to get them all maxed EX, or as high as the 2-level rule can push it, or rerolling the skills in an attempt to get the group and set skills the way you want. If you focus on rerolling the bonuses, the only method to get what you want is by brute force. You will have to keep rerolling until you get the boosts you desire. There's no gimmick or shortcut here. If you instead focus on the skills, we have more table manipulation ahead. Save your game before you start spending tarred devices. Then reroll your weapon as many times as you can, or until you find the skill combo you want. Let's again pretend the 9th roll is the one you want. Quit the game without saving and reload. You should return to the state your chase Gogma-Artian was in prior to rerolling the skills 9 times. Remember how we made junk Gogma? This is where they come in handy. By rerolling a junk Gogma, it advances the table for your chase Gogma by 1. So by rerolling the junk weapon 8 times, your 9th roll on the chase weapon will give you the skills you identified prior. This is beneficial, as rerolling your chase Gogma all 9 times will consume the tarred devices you would prefer to keep, but by rerolling the junk Gogmas, you can use the less valuable pieces for double their value while still advancing the table. And that is everything about Gogma-Artian weapons as I understand them. I personally have not invested much into the system beyond reinforcing my Artians to Gogma and re-rolling the bonuses to give them a little more juice. The current meta seems to be keeping the reinforcement bonuses that were meta prior to Title Update 4, re-rolling them to max EX levels as permitted, and then a combination of Lord Soul as the group skill, and a set skill like Gormagala's Tyranny, Gogma-Apocalypse, or Soul of the Dark Knight in conjunction with the Gamma Armor, Gogmazios armor, and specifically pieces of lower rarity armor used to meet set and group skill requirements, all transcended. There is a wonderful pinned thread in the Monster Hunter Meta Reddit sub that houses meta builds for every weapon type. I believe we are about at the point where most of them have been updated, post TU4 GOG, or even the addition of AT Jindahad and his armor. So if you need a source for your meta needs, take a peek there, which I'll also put in the description below this video. The last note I'll leave you with. This grind, these systems, are more or less the last mechanical changes we can expect for the base game of Monster Hunter Wilds. The Gogma-Artian grind and by extension the Talisman grind are meant to be laborious and keep us occupied until the expected expansion. With that in mind, everything released in-game is possible to be beaten with non-perfect Artians and non-God-rolled talismans. In addition, should we get an expansion, these systems may be overwritten by new mechanics and grinds, meaning these may become outdated and potentially inefficient. Do not dedicate time to these gameplay loops if you are not having fun with them. And don't think you have to engage with them in order to beat the challenges currently present. Will they help if you're having trouble? Most likely. Will these systems become outdated? No guarantee. But at the end of the day, this is a game. It's meant to be fun, and Monster Hunter in particular is designed to be a grind. Don't burn yourself out. I want to see all you hunters back again when AT Archveld comes out in February, and again when the expansion comes out, and Dalmadur gets added. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but a hunter can dream. If this guide has been helpful, leave a like. If you have any more tips for Gogma-Artian rolling, leave a comment. Consider supporting the channel through subbing if you haven't, or by becoming a member on Patreon. Happy New Year, hunters. Until next time, may your RNG be kind and the desire sensor be blind. Goodbye for now, but not for long.